Well, it was an incredibly dramatic day at the Africa Cup of Nations yesterday as final group matches were concluded in groups A and B, while the Super Eagles needed an own goal in order to tame the very stubborn Wild Dogs of Guinea-Bissau, and who had actually changed 10 players in their starting lineup. The result means that the Eagles are through to the next round in second place in Group A with 7 points. And some of the players spoke to our correspondent, Favour Itua, after that match.
We believe that we can go the way, but we have to focus on the next game. So we'll see who we have, and hopefully we'll go through to the next round again.
We changed almost the whole team, and it was fresh way. So I think it was a little bit difficult. We created so many chances to the we didn't take it, and I think we have to keep working on that.
I feel good. I'm happy to get a full game, to start the game and to lead the team. And of course, the fact that we won as well. We wanted to be top of the group, but we didn't get that. But at the same time, I'm happy. It's tougher now because there is no chances for mistakes. We have to remain focused, try to keep more clean sheet, and then seal the game.
As a goalkeeper, when you have a clean sheet, your team, your country must be happy. Especially seeing a lot of this crowd, having a clean sheet out of this crowd. So I'm so happy today. I always have confidence. I'm not worried about talking about confidence. I always have confidence. I'm only worried about my teammates. I'm not worried about myself.
Players of the Super Eagles of Nigeria speaking to our correspondent Favour Itua yesterday after that 1-0 win over the Wild Dogs of Guinea-Bissau. Meanwhile, hosts Côte d'Ivoire were on the receiving end of a 4-0 hammering by Equatorial Guinea in one of the biggest upsets in the competition's history. And it was also Côte d'Ivoire's biggest ever home loss. And after the match, Ivorian fans went on a rampage, smashing vehicles and basically causing major uproar in the city of Abidjan. It wasn't a pretty sight at all. Yeah, there you can see on your screen, smashed buses, our own equivalent of BRT buses here in Nigeria, smashed all over the city of Abidjan as fans vented their anger on the performance of the Elephants, who are hosting the Africa Cup of Nations. Elsewhere, Egypt conceded a late goal to play out a 2-2 draw with Cape Verde, while Ghana let a 2-0 lead slip in another 2-2 draw with Mozambique. I'm being joined now by our correspondent in Abidjan, Favour Itua. Favour, bonjour, ça va bien?
Bonjour, Babatunde Koiki. Bien. Bonjour to the team.
Okay, Favour. Well, so tell us now, have the Ivorian fans calmed down now after last night's defeat? What's the situation in Abidjan right now?
Babatunde, there's peace currently in Abidjan, but of course last night was not the case. As after that game, there were reports of mayhem, uproar caused by irate fans, not happy with the result, and it did also affect how things turned out, as of course lots of journalists slept around the stadium in press conference center at the Alassane Ouattara Stadium, and they were not able to proceed to their hotel and their lodge or apartment where of course they would have a good rest. But this morning, I think there's calm, as we've had to see lots of police, popularly called gendarmes, around the city to instill peace, just in case someone wants to take law into their hands.
Well, I'm told by a lot of friends who live in French-speaking countries in Africa that the fear of the gendarme is the beginning of wisdom. Let's leave Ivory Coast behind and talk about the Super Eagles of Nigeria. They are through to the next round, but they haven't looked particularly impressive. And even Coach Jose Peseiro, in his press conference after that game, warned that they have to improve in the knockout phase.
Yeah, for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, yes, they've not been impressive. Some persons will argue that they've got the job done, qualifying to the round of 16, but a lot of persons still want to see a more convincing performance, a performance.
Won all 3 group games only to crash out in the second round. But there's a lot of worry considering the fact that Super Eagles have scored only 3 goals. 1 was a penalty, 1 was in open play, and 1 was an own goal. So goal scoring is a problem. But leaving that aside, who are the Eagles likely to face next?
All right, the group of C would be the next group that the Super Eagles will likely face a team. Now, the pairing is that the second runner-up in Group A would face the second runner-up in Group C. And Group C has the likes of Cameroon, Senegal, Guinea, and these three teams are potential opponents for Nigeria. Now, Senegal takes on Guinea in the next game. Should Guinea beat Senegal, Guinea will stand a chance of, Senegal will stand a chance of playing Nigeria. So if Senegal beats Guinea, we'll get to see Guinea against Nigeria. That is if Cameroon do not win their last game. So either of these teams, Guinea, Senegal, and Cameroon, Nigeria is tend to face these teams. But then also, Nigeria played Guinea in one of the friendly matches they played before coming to Cote d'Ivoire in Abu Dhabi, and Guinea defeated Nigeria 2-0. So there is no small team at the moment in African football. So you might want to say you want to avoid Senegal, but Guinea still stands a threat against Nigeria. Also, we also need to talk about Cameroon. The rivalry is also there. It's also big when it comes to the world of football. So we also look at Cameroon as a side that would want to bring out their muscles should they get to face Nigeria. But the interesting thing to note is that Nigeria will be playing at the Felix Ofe-Boigny Stadium, which is currently situated in the city of Abidjan, which of course attracts more Nigerian fans than the Alassane Ouattara Stadium.
I tend to agree in favor, but let's leave in Nigerian fans aside. Let's talk about Ghanaian fans. I heard there were quite a number of unhappy Ghanaian fans and journalists in the city of Abidjan yesterday as well.
Yeah, well, of course, the rivalry between Nigeria and Ghanaians would not stop and will not end anytime soon. Ghanaian platform on X is really, really crazy at the moment. And with what happened yesterday, we saw how most of their fans were dragging the team. I think it was a crazy moment in the stadium on Monday, knowing fully well that the goals came within 4 minutes, and having to see that the Ghanaian squad were close to getting the round of 16 ticket, but they bottled it up just about 4 minutes into the end of the game. And then looking at the aftermath of that game, it provoked the Ghanaian fans, who, of course, a lot of them have spent their time. Some of them have started booking accommodations for the round of 16, hoping that they'll get to play again in Ivory Coast, but that did not happen. And the journalists had to go to the mix zone, and they were held as the players of the Black Stars did not come out on time, and they were angry that the players did not come out to talk to them, and they decided to stay there and block the entrance or the exit of the stadium until the Ghanaian players come outside to talk to them, which of course policemen came around to instill order, but they still did not listen as they wanted to hear from the squad, and they were so angry and battered that in back-to-back Nations Cup, they were able to pick just 3 points. 1 point in the last tournament, 2 points in this tournament, and since then, it's been Ghana must go, Ghana must go, Ghana must go.
Favor, I think you're actually adding more to the fire that the Ghanaians are feeling right now. But finally, you have to admit that last night was an incredible advertisement for African football. In your opinion, which was the biggest headline of the day? Ghana letting a two-goal lead slip, or Cote d'Ivoire getting hammered at home 4-0 by Equatorial Guinea? Or Egypt conceding a 99th minute equalizer but still going through with 3 points? Which one of them was your highlight for yesterday?
3 big moments, Babatunde Koiki, I must tell you, but I will go with the hammering of Cote d'Ivoire. I mean, it was disastrous. Yes, it's one thing to lose as the host nation, but one thing is certain, you don't lose scandalously, especially playing at home and playing to a team that on paper you are better than. I mean, you didn't really lift the courage of your fans. Imagine Cote d'Ivoire had played their hearts and they got a draw. I don't think it will have these issues of fans being angry. They'll just probably take it as a game of football, not to also, encourage violence though. But I think that hammering of Cote d'Ivoire did not speak well. It's the biggest defeat of a host country since the history of Nations Cup. And it did not, of course, go down well with a lot of persons. I think that was my biggest moment of Monday football.
Thank you very much, Favor, to giving us live updates from Abidjan, where he's currently attending the Africa Cup of Nations. We'll catch up with you in subsequent bulletins, Favor. Well, we stay with the Africa Cup of Nations now, where fans, Ghanaian fans and journalists, like I said, were furious with their team last night after a 2-2 draw with Mozambique. It wasn't a pretty sight at all. We saw Ghanaian journalist slamming himself to the floor. The Ghanaian Black Star journalists as well, like Favour said, were also preventing the Black Stars from leaving the stadium yesterday, hurling insults and abuse to them, at them, I beg your pardon. The Black Stars were seemingly cruising to a comfortable win before a late implosion saw them eliminated from the tournament. It was not pretty at all. And I'm being joined now all the way from Accra by my good friend Willie Graham. Willie Graham is sports editor over at the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. Willie, I'd like to say good day to you. I'm sure you're not particularly happy right now with what happened last night in Abidjan. But you have to admit there is a crisis in Ghanaian football. 3 points between two tournaments. That was the last one in Cameroon and this one. And 2 consecutive group stage exits. Can Ghanaian football sink any lower?
Well, I think we have to be honest with ourselves and begin to do an introspection, basically. And for me, it's more of we not taking advantage of the mistakes we've made in the past and correcting them. I mean, the last AFCON in Cameroon was equally a disaster, which led to the dismissal of the coach and obviously an overhaul of the team. And then we had to move forward to yet another coach and another team, hoping that we can change the narrative at the 10 Cup of Nations. But that's the story. So for most Ghanaians, it's a very disappointing story. But then how do you pick yourselves from here? And there's a lot at stake for Ghanaians to understand that football has evolved and a lot of countries are better than the big boys. It's not a vintage performance for Cameroon. It's not a vintage performance for Nigeria. It's not a vintage performance for Ivory Coast. It's not a vintage performance for most of the teams that we cater to were beating easily. Teams have really moved on and evolved. And so what you're seeing at the Cup of Nations is a testament of how countries have also learned their mistakes from the big boys and have built upon it to become better than the big boys.
But Willie, I mean, let's look at yesterday's game. I know the Ghana Black Stars haven't played well throughout the tournament, but yesterday's game was an absolute atrocity. How do you let a seemingly comfortable 2-goal lead slip from your fingers? And what about the goalkeeper? He's usually quite dependable. What was he thinking? The ball was going out to a goal kick, and somehow he managed to tap it out for a corner, and Ghana conceded the second. What is going on?
Yeah, I mean, I understand your frustration. Basically, even though you're Nigerian, the rivalry is there. A little bit of happiness for you because you didn't get there. Anyway, that's fine.
No.
But this is it. You know, there's a historical antecedent to a lot of things that I saw at the Cup of Nations. I'll tell you why. The last time Ghana won the AFCON was back in 1982. And Ghana needed to defend the AFCON in the next AFCON, which was in 1984 in Ivory Coast. Now, guess what happened in Ivory Coast?
Hello, Willie. We seem to have lost Willie Graham all the way from Accra. He's a sports editor of the Ghana Broadcast Corporation, and he was giving... hello, Willie. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, so you were talking about how Ghana is supposed to, rise from this. But I have to ask you, at this point in time, with the kind of failure that we've seen in the last 2 competitions, heads have to roll. One of the first heads to go will probably be the coach. And a lot of people also believe that the entire GFA, that's the Ghanaian Football Association board, should also resign as well. And also that major, do I say, surgery has to be carried out on the team, that a lot of the players have to go in order for the team to move forward. Do you share these sentiments?
I mean, has that solved the problem? I mean, the FA goes, the coach goes. Remember, there's a World Cup qualifier against Mali to be played. Remember, the next AFCON is in January 2025. There's no time, basically. And so even if everybody leaves, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that Ghana can be successful in the next AFCON. What it then means is that there's always going to be a rebuilding process, and it takes time for you to succeed. So for me, I believe that no matter how you look at the surgical operation of this matter, there must be a success story to be told. The recovery must be immediate, and then it must generate into a success story. So I am saying that, why don't you communicate to the fans who are agitating? Now listen, I think that we need to take our time. For us to be the best, we need to rebuild the process, and the process will take some time. Other than that, we're going to change coaches. The last 5 years, Ghana has had to change a lot of coaches, from Kwesi Appiah to Siki Akpono to Milovan to Otoado, now Q shooting. And it appears that every 9 months, Ghana would have to change a coach. And then, of course, you change the whole players and then bring new ones. It does not necessarily mean success is imminent. It would take time for it to build. So more or less, it's about communication. If people understand that as a whole process and it will take time for the process to gel, I think that Ghanaians will be a little bit patient. Aliou Cisse has been in charge of Senegal for how many years? Almost 8 years. And he has failed. I mean, the FA has failed equally, but certainly they succeeded. Morocco, same. So until you communicate well to the people and let them understand that to be a success story, you have to work hard and take time. We're going to go on the board and do the chop and change almost every time, and the success will not come. For me, if you sack the coach, if you sack the players, it does not give you immediate success. And that is what the Ghanaian fans want, immediate success. And I tell you what, they're not going to get it with this attitude.
Okay, well, Willie, I have to ask you. I mean, you've given strong opinions now. So, what in your opinion, what should Ghanaian football do now? You said they shouldn't necessarily sack the coach. They shouldn't necessarily overhaul the squad. The GFA should also remain in place. So there has to be a solution. What are you suggesting?
My suggestion is simple. Do you believe that the coach can change and correct and redeem himself? If there's that belief in the coach, if there's that belief in the set of players, then remember, you need to allow them to change and rebuild and redeem themselves. And in so doing, the coach would have to take responsibility and then begin to work things out. Because if you sack the coach right now and you bring in a new coach, he's going to bring in new players.
But do you believe in the coach?
He's going to start all over again.
Willie, do you believe in the coach?
I think that he's not a bad coach. He's playing his first AFCON. It's a major, major thing for him. His very first AFCON. 19 of the 27 players he called up are playing their very first AFCON. A lot of them were jittery. You saw elementary mistakes all over the place. So until they redeem themselves and reimpose in them belief that, listen, yes, you made mistakes. Yes, you didn't try the first time. But I think you can try again. And I think you can redeem yourself. When they have that belief, I think we can do it. Other than that, we're going to keep changing and changing and changing, my brother. We will never go anywhere. It's a matter of believing in the players and the coach that, listen, I don't care your mistakes, mate, but I believe you can redeem yourself. And so I give you another chance. And that's how I believe you can get your success.
Well, Willie Graham, sports editor at the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, believe that belief and faith in the players, in the coach, and in also the Ghanaian Football Association is the only way forward for Ghanaian football right now. Thank you so much, Willie, for joining us. I need to ask you this question.
Absolutely.
Someone was asking me before I came in whether you seem to be driving, and someone asked whether you are leading the exodus of Ghanaian journalists from Abidjan back to Accra. Is that true?
To be honest with you, I was waiting for the win so I can move to Abidjan. I was actually home here working things out. And then just after the draw, I got a call, man, we are not doing a drip anymore. We are not doing it. We have to stay home. So I've been home working things out, unfortunately, behind the scenes, but it is what it is. It's disappointing.
Okay, Willie Graham, sports editor of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. Thank you so much for your time today. Well, let's move on. It's been very hot in the studio here regarding the opinions of our good friends from Ghana, but let's tell you everything that happened yesterday at the Africa Cup of Nations.